Greetings. Welcome to the latest episode of our long-form discussion show called Yeah, I've Played.
Yeah, I've played that.
This is
Jordan Hill.
I'm Matt Hall.
Sorry, I thought you were gonna. Sometimes I forget you're not gonna say my name.
I thought it'd be nice if you identified yourself.
Yeah, no, I like.
I'm just gonna take a quick sip.
Yes, I self-identify.
This is gonna set the tone for the show. If this this hastily made coffee is any good.
It'll pour over.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. I just got a coffee maker for the first time in like 2 years.
It's
been sick.
I kind of stopped drinking coffee, and then recently I've had to work later in the day, so I've been like drinking coffee midday. So I'm by like 4 or 5, I'm like having a second wind, and then I'm not kept up all night still.
There you go. Riveting stuff here.
Yeah, I mean that's what's going on behind the scenes, and part of that, well, I mean, I guess that really does relate directly to Portal 2, which we started playing several weeks ago, and I just didn't finish it. I kept trying to finish it and could not find the time to do so.
Which is the first time that's ever happened. Usually it's Matt getting on me. Not getting on me, but just like checking in. Hey, how are you doing on that game I finished a week and a half ago?
I'll download it soon.
Yeah, I haven't installed it yet. I'll get on it, I promise.
So Portal was the first game in the series. No, we played Portal and we covered it in the last episode, and I had mixed feelings about it, mostly because I just got frustrated by some of the puzzles.
Yeah, I was surprised by your take on it at the end because I knew you love puzzle games and stuff like that, and I figured you were gonna fucking love Portal. And then you were real lukewarm on
it. Puzzle games, I'm not sure if I love puzzle games. Do I count Tetris as a puzzle game?
Yes.
It is, but it doesn't feel like, it feels like this is like on a, these are more complex. I like arcade style puzzle games.
Oh,
They're
okay,
very and Portal is kind of fast paced.
Yeah.
But it's more like, I prefer a simple concept that I have to, I have to like continue, like it gets faster, it gets a little more complex, whereas I think that Portal is more in the vein of like old adventure games where there's like just you walk into a room and it's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, what do I do in here?
And you have no, you do have the one basic mechanic, but throughout both of the games, you're regularly introduced to new scenarios that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
And so it's good. It's just like, I think the puzzle games I like are more like Candy Crush.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah. I guess what I should have said is you like puzzles in games. It's like from Resident Evil to Silent Hill. When they're good, when they're good, you like them.
I think if I can do them well, yeah. But also, there were some of those puzzles in those games that go, what the fuck is this? I feel like Silent Hill 2, I did them all. Silent Hill 1, I definitely had to look up several.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah. I had to look up a few things in Silent Hill 1. I had to beat Mothra to death with my bare hands.
Oh, yeah. So, I don't know. So, I mean, I do like puzzles. I like puzzles in games. I really enjoyed Myst. I enjoyed, Obsidian. There's like puzzle adventure games we've covered on the channel before. But I also have like issues with like space, like 3D space.
And that's definitely an issue in these games.
It's hard to conceptualize the puzzle sometimes.
Yeah, the ones that I got like hung up the most on in Portal 2 and as well as in the first game were the ones where really it was like I couldn't really tell how far away or where exactly something was going to land. You know what I mean? Trying to determine something like that and then fucking it up 5 or 6 times until eventually, usually just through like trial and error, getting it. You know what I mean? Not really solving the puzzle, just like eventually brute forcing it.
Yeah. So, and when was the first game? 2007, I think. 2007. Yeah.
Like that. Okay.
So, a good number of years later, I also mentioned in the previous episode that I bought the orange box around launch and just never played Portal.
Never played Portal until 2024.
But I will say I did think it was a very good game, and I liked how it looked and felt, and I thought it had a strong style, and it was just I was just kind of frustrated by it.
Yeah, and I mean it's a very cool concept
also,
too.
Like, do you find that like a lot of older games are just kind of frustrating by nature.
There's some that are for sure, yeah. Like without a doubt. Like that's how I feel. That's how I felt about the first Silent Hill game with some of those sections where I'm like, this just feels intentionally difficult. Like not intentionally difficult, but like intentionally like obtuse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the refrigerator puzzle.
Yeah, where you're just like, you're just supposed to die here.
Yeah.
You're just supposed to get mad at this and get frustrated. And that's definitely, I think Portal had a little bit of that because it was kind of like the end of the era. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of the transition into like, not baby games, but like games being a little easier and having like sliding difficulties and stuff.
Yeah, and also not going for as many cheap deaths and kind of like not putting the player in blind and into danger so much. Like so many old adventure games too would have things where it'd be like, oh, you handed this guy a piece of paper, now you're dead.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
why?
I would have never known that, only through trial and error. And I don't want to fault that, but I mean, that is like kind of like a core part of game design for the first 50 years of video games. I mean, not every game, you know, like you can play through like Mario Brothers or something and never go like, how the fuck would I have known that? You know? But
there are things that would make the game much easier that you'd go, how the fuck would I have known that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But it was also, I mean, people have talked about this ad nauseum, but it really was just about replayability and, you know what I mean, extending the life of those things.
Yeah.
To a degree, at least. That's what that was.
Yeah, and I do feel like, I just feel like sensibilities have changed over time because people who grew up playing those games and being frustrated by them, like kind of like took their favorite parts of those games and used that as, a jumping off point for the games they started to make. Mm-hmm. And there are just certain sort of like, calling it cheap, but it feels bad, but I'm just going to say like cheap deaths and stuff like have definitely become, in my experience, at least, I could be, totally off base, but it's become much less prevalent in mainstream gaming.
Yeah, unless you're playing like, honestly, the only ones that I can think of off the top of my head are like Souls type games or Souls, you know what I mean?
Where that's I think taking that same old school adventure game mentality of like, how the fuck would I know any of this?
Yeah,
and just like cranking it to 1,000 and then being like, and then because they were doing that all the way back in Kingsfield like 25 years ago or whatever.
Okay,
and they just never stopped making those games that are just a mystery.
Yeah.
And
the entire thing is shrouded in mystery.
They just got better and better and better at it, to the point where it's like, I mean, people still there's people who like Kingsfield and the old, pre-Souls games. And there is a video on the channel here talking about the entire history of From Software and some of their lesser known games. But they made that into a style that people have become so hungry for. But even at the time, certain reviewers thought it was just trash. Even like, I think it was I could be wrong about who it was. It was like a higher up at either Bandai Namco or at Sony was like, this is just a completely terrible game. Talking about, I think, it's like Demon Souls.
Get good, nerd.
Yeah, they're just like, this is a trash game, and it's like,
that is definitely like the first time. I think the first time I played Dark Souls 1 or 2, it was one. I think it might have been the first Dark Souls when I first played that game. I was probably like 15, and I remember just being like, this game sucks. This is stupid. I don't understand what's happening at all. What's the fucking point of this? And then coming back now and like, I loved Elden Ring. You know what I mean?
I loved Elden Ring.
Incredible game.
I do think they made it a little more accessible every time. And I think Elden Ring's really like reaching a good pinnacle where it's like, you can play it like the old school ones, but if you need a little bit of a, just like a thing to hold on to.
Yeah.
You have the option, which I think is great because it's still a brutal game.
Still brutal, still very like you said, mysterious. You still don't really know what's going on. If you fuck up the timing on something, you can really fuck up your progress. You know what I mean? It's weird. I don't know.
So all that is to say, I definitely had those sorts of misgivings about the first Portal, but we're covering Portal 2 today, which was released in 2011. It's a puzzle platformer game. But yeah, it came out on Windows OS, Mac OS X, Linux, the PS3, the Xbox 360. I think Xbox 360 is where I first played it.
That's where I played it first as well.
I got through maybe 1 or 2 rooms, and I said, I'll get back to this someday. Same thing happened with Portal. I think I played like 1 room like at a friend's house. It's like, okay.
All right, that was fine.
to the point where when I actually played these games, I was like, oh, that's not quite how I remember it. So I may have only done like the first room literally.
Yeah, like quite literally left the first room.
So, I mean, this game was super, super well received. I'm looking at the scores. Metacritic, 95 out of 100. 1up.com, A+. Edge, 9 out of 10. Eurogamer, 10 out of 10. Famitsu gave it a 37. That's an average of a 10 and 3 9s out of the different scores.
There you go.
That's a 37 out of 40. G4 gave it a 5 out of 5. Game Informer, 9.5 out of 10. GameSpot, 9 out of 10. IGN, 9.5 out of 10. PC Gamer, 94 out of 100.
I mean, I don't know if I'd give it that high a score, but it was good. I really like this game. I think it's very fun, but I don't know. I don't think 94.
I think for 2011,
yeah,
it's hard to talk about a game on Impact versus a game.
Well, I was around when the game came. I was playing video games
13 years
when the
later.
game came
I
out.
don't think I was. I
You
think this is like when I
yet.
was not gaming.
No. You were unplugged from the Matrix for a little while.
I really was.
2011 was my junior year of high school. So I was like peak video. I had a job and I was able to buy my own video games. You know what I mean? So that was like peak of me playing video games. And like you had like Halo 3 had been out. I'm definitely, maybe we were at like Halo Reach by that point. You had like Gears of War 3. You had Mass Effect 3, I'm pretty sure was out at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a bunch of other huge games that were very good. You know what I mean? This is definitely like getting a second Portal game was great because everybody loved the first Portal so much. And I remember everyone being really excited for the second Portal. And then people were really stoked because something Portal 2 did that Portal 1 didn't do at all is it focused Portal 1, like we talked about in that video, really no story at all. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. I mean, there's you can piece together that there is a setting.
Yes. There's a setting and there's characters.
Yeah.
Not much of a plot.
Yeah.
No, you know what I mean? Conflict, sure. But it was really, they made the game and then added the story as an afterthought afterwards. Quite literally. Mm-hmm. And Portal 2, clearly they like expanded more on the story and stuff like that. So I think people were really excited about that. And that might be why it got such a good, you know what I mean? Because people were so excited to be like, is there going to be more to this? Is this going to be connected to the Half-Life universe and stuff like that? Like, are we going to have a Half-Life 3?
Yeah, and the physics were really good.
Physics were very good.
And that was feeling pretty fresh at the time. Mm-hmm. So, I'm trying to think. I've said it before in other videos, but there was basically a long period where after the GameCube, I played a little bit of Wii, and that was pretty much I stopped gaming. Aside from playing The Binding of Isaac almost every day since it launched, so which is why I have like almost 3,500 hours in that game or something.
That's insane.
Because I just played it daily for It's been out for over 10 years. I think
I wouldn't want to be able to accumulate the hours for Fallout 3 on like my stepbrother's Xbox 360, my Xbox 360, my first laptop. You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
If I could accumulate all those hours, it would be devastating to see.
The Isaac hours are all in my Steam account. Yeah. And I also during that time I played through Hotline Miami.
That's a good one.
But aside from that, the only other games I was playing was like I had a Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
I played Wario's Woods. I played through all that. That's a puzzle game I love. And then I would also play like old DOS games now and then, like Harvester or the first Duke Nukem, the side scroller. That'd be like, like every 6 months, I'd be like, oh, I'll download a game and like play a game for a couple hours today.
Just to kill time.
I just kind of like took a long break from gaming because like up until that point, I was a hardcore gamer and I got a little burned out and I just focused on other stuff for a while. Now I'm back in the fold trying to catch up on all these things. I am trying to put myself, in the mindset of what was going on at the time. But for a game like this, because I wasn't playing games in 2011, it's like hard for me to think contemporary wise. I just didn't, I played so few 2011 games.
Yeah, it was definitely like it was a big game, but it was very much like it was a puzzle game, you know what I mean? It wasn't or like a strategy game, I guess, which like are never quite as big. Like at the time, what was huge, at least in my memory and in my experience, were like the Call of Duty, Gears of War, Halo, you know what I mean? Like multiplayer, competitive online games, which is still kind of the case, but at the time it was like also with a big focus on campaign and cooperative play and stuff like that.
So It came out in April of 2011. So Mass Effect 2.
Okay, so Mass Effect 3 is not out yet. But
Yeah,
Mass Effect
Dead
2 's
Space
out.
2.
Yep.
Um,
Oh God, Dead Space 2. Yeah.
that's one. So Portal was one of the earlier bigger games. Deus Ex Human Revolution. I've definitely played that. That's a great game. Batman Arkham City.
Oh, okay, so it's yeah, that one was fun though.
The first one's perfect for
Asylum was, I think Arkham Asylum was better, but Arkham City was good.
me. Skyrim. I don't know if you ever heard of that one.
Which edition?
I think the OG Skyrim. Yeah, November 2011. So
I had a lot of competition that year. A lot of other massive games came out at the time. You know what I mean? Well, not massive, but big titles and big franchises.
if I'm putting this against something like Dead Space 2, Skyrim, I think something that it has working for it is, as much as we can get into it more a little later. I do think the writing and the humor were unique in a sense, even though it seemed like kind of like tired tropes. It wasn't super common to see that in a lot of games, especially as games were, we were still in a very like edgy period.
Oh yeah, very much. We were in the
super serious
Spike TV, what I mean, Monster Energy era for sure.
I'm not sure like how long that lasted. I know it like peaked in the early 2000s and late 2000s, but like
this was still the Mountain Dew Code Red, you know what I mean, Livewire period of time.
Yeah,
very much.
So
very much so.
I can see also it's a
Avenged Sevenfold was big,
I really do like how the game had a lot of different settings, and they all kind of felt unique in their own way, and it felt very well thought out. It felt like I was really exploring something,
Aperture Science,
through the decades too, which was neat.
That is really the highlight of the game.
I can understand where people are coming from with the scores. Personally, I do say I like this a lot more than the first game. I think it played better.
Oh, for sure.
The puzzles were more intuitive. There were some I got stuck on, but less than the first game.
Yeah, I'd say there was 3 that I got real hung up on. Like 3 for sure that I got real hung up on. And honestly, I think if I went back to them, I'd still get hung up on them. You know what I mean? And it's just because they're difficult. They just seem or there was a couple of like mechanics that I kind of struggled with the whole time. You know what I mean? That I wasn't like the best with utilizing certain things. My like reaction time, to quickly fire a portal when you need to do that quickly. Yeah, not great at that.
That's understandable. Yeah, I struggled with that in the first game quite a bit when you have to like shoot a portal, like jump and then
as you're flying, get another one.
Thankfully, they didn't make you do that too much here.
No, but the few times they did, I did not do great.
Yeah. So the game it also does like a sort of meta thing with the first game. So in the first game, you're seemingly the lone surviving test subject at Aperture Science.
Yep.
And you get the impression that an evil AI has taken over the facility. And you're starting to see things sort of fray and come apart. In Portal 2, you're the same test subject, I believe.
Yes. You can't quite tell at first, you know what I mean? It's not totally clear, but then it gets revealed to you pretty quickly that you've been in like a stasis.
Yes. And so you wake up in a different room and it's like, oh, great, I'm back in the cycle, about to do testing. But there's a new AI named Wheatley, and you said Stephen Merritt.
Stephen Merchant.
Oh, Stephen Merritt is Magnetic Fields.
Oh, okay. Stephen Merchant is a lanky
it's the
British
singer
guy
from Magnetic Fields.
That's why, I mean, they had Mike Patton in the first game, so why not?
Yeah, and
that's Matt's favorite character in the game.
Super cringe.
Yeah,
could not handle how cringe that character was.
He's a similar energy to Claptrap from the Borderlands games.
And Borderlands, I played the first one. Super fun,
very
fun game. But also, it could have just been a roguelite that with no story, and I would have gotten just as much out of it. Yeah, just like playing those rounds.
And it got tired pretty quickly.
I couldn't finish it.
And especially, I mean, they have like 5 games now. They're all the same fucking game.
Well, okay, I was gonna say I played like another one, and I was like, are these the same boss battles and stuff? Like, I feel like
It
some
feels
stuff
very-
was like
quite literally
1-to-1
repeated. Yes.
the same.
It was quite literally. They made a lot of money off of that without having to do very much work, I don't think.
Oh,
Or not, probably a lot of work, not a lot of innovation.
right. They didn't have to deviate too far from the formula they set.
Kind of like with Call of Duty,
yeah,
you know? I'd put
it
them
feels a
in
little by
similar-
the numbers after a while.
I'd put them in similar groupings. But
Well-
Claptrap and Wheatley have that same
Couldn't stand Claptrap.
2010s.
I feel like I turned off the sound when I was playing Borderlands for a lot of the time.
that checks out.
And
I can't imagine you being able to handle that at all.
and it sucks. I was like, damn, this is really fun, but also, God, I feel like I'm just like purposefully drowning out like 50% of the game. Super cringe, epic bacon humor. Just and all throughout, like, you know, I mean, I guess we'll just, for the sake of talking about it, essentially what happens is, you know, he wakes you up. He's like, we're gonna help break you out.
Real quick, I do want to mention we did not play the cooperative campaign at all.
No,
Just played the single player campaign.
Is it a different campaign?
It is. The puzzles are different because it's based on you using the portals to help each other. So I believe each of you only has one portal.
And do you? But is it still a narrative?
Yeah, there's still a narrative and stuff.
But is it a different narrative?
It is a different narrative. I believe you're kind of going alongside. I can't remember. I can't totally remember if you're either going alongside the story or if you are now running the tests after you're gone.
Interesting. Okay, well, that's something that I will have to look into on my own time.
But we're only covering the single player campaign
Yes,
in this.
single player
That's
campaign.
just something we didn't.
You know, I had someone reach out to me and go, "Hey, if you want someone to do the co-op with," I was like, "Oh," and I just went, "Ving."
I played it. I never finished it. I don't think because I didn't ever have anyone who would like play it with me long enough. You know what I mean? But I definitely played it with Andrew a couple times. The cooperative campaign. Andrew hated it.
Is it shorter than the?
I believe
game?
so. Let's fucking cooperative. Yeah, it's the set after the single player campaign. Yeah. It's just GLaDOS running you through tests because now the humans are gone, and so she's created 2 robot test subjects.
Oh, I've
like,
seen
run
people
through.
play this. Okay, yes, that makes sense. I go, how do you? But they escaped.
Oh, and then it ends with a pretty. Yeah.
Oh, but what's the ending?
The ending is that she gets bored of it because she can't kill them because robots can't truly die. So she places them into the vault, which is a storage facility of thousands of humans placed in stasis.
Oh, so there's more.
There's more people.
Portal 3 confirmed.
Portal 3 confirmed. It'll come up before Half-Life 3, that's for damn sure.
So essentially, Wheatley, the wisecracking robot guy, is trying to break you out, and there's like it's like, oh, can you believe like a human defeated GLaDOS and GLaDOS gladiators,
Gladius,
and you're like, that was me.
That was me the whole time.
Does he know that was me?
He does not know it was you.
No, somehow.
Yeah, well, because he's pretty fucking dumb.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we find out later he was actually programmed to make the worst decisions possible.
Programmed to be as stupid as he could.
Yeah. But you wind up waking up GLaDOS, and they're like,
Because you didn't actually kill her.
You thought you killed me. Well, still alive, I guess, you know.
Somehow, for
as
whatever
the
reason.
Song suggested.
Yeah.
I'm still alive.
I'm still alive, yeah. She did just say it outright at the end of the other game.
And so she becomes dedicated to killing you.
Once again.
And you take her out of her core and you replace her with Wheatley.
Yes.
And then Wheatley becomes corrupted. And then you have to team up with GLaDOS to defeat Wheatley.
Yes.
And then eventually GLaDOS goes, all right, well, you know, I'm going to let you go. You saved me. Thanks.
Yep.
And you escape.
Yeah.
And it's very unclear where you are at the end. You're just outside in the desert. There's like a shack.
Yeah.
At the end they throw you a companion cube.
Yeah, just launch the companion cube out. You're just looking
the
at it.
companion cube was like not really that big of a part of this game as
No,
much as it was the first game. It was like more of a throwback joke to the first game.
It was kind of a throwback joke, and also it became a very big meme between the first and second game. The companion cube did.
Oh.
Not very big, but like within the community, you know.
Oh,
what
I
mean?
guess it's 2024. People want to marry a cube.
Yeah. That's where it'd be now.
Oh,
but
great.
At the time it was just like the cube with like the ooh face, you know what I mean? Like the little like rosy cheeks and being like waifu cube, you know, stuff like that. Like I want to fuck the companion cube, those kinds of jokes. You know?
Right. Mm-hmm. It is similar. There's an ottoman that I cut a hole in that I pork from time to time. One of those like square ones, you know, like a footrest ottoman.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. You just lay down on top of it like you're planking.
Yeah. So as you go throughout the story, like that's the overarching kind of narrative is like, you know, getting back to GLaDOS. Mm-hmm. Then GLaDOS is defeated.
Yep.
Sort of defeated, replaced, and then Wheatley is corrupted, and Wheatley's like, oh, I guess I could abuse you, and then. So what happens to GLaDOS is she gets put into a potato.
Yes, which means that her processing power is greatly reduced.
Yes, because there's not a lot of electricity in a potato, but there's some.
There's an amount of conductivity within a potato.
So I mean that's the whole thing. But as you go,
the overarching goal is you're like, I got to get the hell out of here, though.
Yeah, but of course you can't get out without going through a bunch of Portal style test rooms.
Yeah, you gotta go through a bunch of puzzles,
and
man.
they go. Well, how do we do this? We go, what if somehow you go through, you're basically time traveling.
Yeah.
You go from different decades of Aperture Science.
By kind of falling like deeper and deeper.
Yeah,
into
as if like they like, I don't know how to put it, because it's like you are going deeper, aren't you?
Yeah, it makes...
As you go deeper, you go forward in time.
No. Mm-hmm. It seemed like as you went deeper, you went back in time.
No, because by the end, Cave Johnson, the leader of Aperture Science, is like all dead. Like
yeah, but that's like as you're trying to get out. It seems like you fall. So there's the moment where when you replace GLaDOS with Wheatley, and then Wheatley becomes corrupt, he knocks you down into a pit.
Yeah,
and then you fall all the way down, and you land in like the beginning.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then you kind of work your way out.
Okay.
So it doesn't... You think the way you build something is you'd start... Say you're trying to build something underground. The first layer would... The earliest stuff you did would be right underground.
Right.
And then as you went deeper, you'd be like, oh, we're working our way down. But instead it seems like they started all the way at like the Earth's core.
Yeah.
And then built out.
Yeah, so it seems like for we'll say just every decade, they have like a new place, a new Aperture Science test facility. Mm-hmm. And there's all these recorded messages from Cave Johnson, who is voiced by...
J.K. Simmons. J. Jonah Jameson.
Right.
Whiplash, Dickhead.
The skinhead in Oz.
Skinhead in Oz, yes.
Oh, I can't remember his name for some reason.
I can't right now either.
10 out of 10 show.
So good. Gotta rewatch it. Gotta rewatch it even if it's just see Chris Stabler's dick.
He's also very good in that show. Man, what a show. Yeah, I was surprised they got him to do that. That was a good... He's good. He's good in the role.
Christopher Maloney, yeah, he's very good.
It's a little... No, I mean...
Oh, J.K. Simmons for Cave Johnson.
Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh.
It's another epic bacon Redditor man kind of humor.
A little
going
bit
on here,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it feels... It's just like...
It's more
these are very tired tropes, these characters.
Yeah, this one feels very Ron Swanson.
Yeah, so that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it feels very Ron...
aloof, confident American white male.
It's like him crossed with like Don Draper.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Totally. Mm-hmm.
The caricature of the two of them.
Yeah, and so as you go through, like, you're hearing these recorded messages from the tests.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
You're going through kind of as though you're the test subjects throughout the decades.
Yeah, and you're not literally time traveling. I mean that metaphorically.
Yeah.
I just splashed coffee all over myself.
And what's kind of funny is you
spilled my coffee. Right. Oh, that scene from Max Payne 2, or no, Alan Wake 2. I think you like hurting people, Wake. My coffee.
And that's when you hear the...
Yeah.
But what I do think is cool about the going through the different test facilities in like the Cave Johnson section, the one part that was funny to me is kind of as you go into like, as they're clearly losing funding, you know what I mean? And they have less and less money as you're going through the first, it's like, you're the best and brightest, you know what I mean? That we
Yeah, you have like
find.
astronauts, Olympians.
And then it's like, you were picked off the street. You were put in the back of the van. You were brought here. You're going to be given $20 like, if you survive.
$60.
Oh, $60. That's $60 if you survive. Like,
He also said something like, what do these people buy with their money? I think he said something like, he said something like hats with holes in them or beard dirt. Yeah, I mean it's funny, but also I just feel like I could write this character in my sleep.
yeah, for sure. It's not. Yeah, no. It's old and it's tried out.
Yeah,
You know what I
everything
mean?
is
It's laid
like,
out.
beware of asbestos. By the way, we put asbestos in your butt.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, all right.
we stole all the moon rocks. Turns out if you grind them up and turn them into a powder and inhale them, it's not good for you.
Yeah, so he's dying by the end of the game, and he says I think her name's Cynthia.
Oh goodness.
He's talking about how he wants his assistant to take over. And this is what I was going to ask you: is GLaDOS?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember how you say the name. GLaDOS.
Caroline's her name.
Caroline.
GLaDOS.
Is GLaDOS Caroline?
Yes.
Does she like have her? Because they talk about like, oh, if we can put like music on a compact disc, why can't we download someone's personality? And, and so yeah,
GLaDOS is Caroline, but
did they say it explicitly, or you just gotta put that together?
I believe she says it at the end. Either that, or she's like accessed her personality. She's re-accessed those memories. You know what I mean? Because it seems like it's been so long that she's become corrupted and she's lost connection with her humanity.
Right,
and it
which
seems as though
she has.
But it appears as though, to a degree, she starts to reconnect with that at the end, or at least is aware of it. Because she's suddenly like, I can't kill you now. You know what I mean? Like, I no longer want to kill you. I just would like you to leave.
Yeah.
You know.
As you leave, you do. I thought you were gonna get shot up.
Yeah, when it brings you to the. But then it's just the stupid fucking giant leopard print.
Yeah, what was up with that?
Like, that's one of those. As you entered each test chamber in the beginning when you're still going through GLaDOS's test chambers.
Yeah.
When your Wheatley's with you, they'd be showing you like a little clip around the entrance or whatever, where it would be like, just like either showing you how turrets are made, or like showing you this, or like, oh, there's all these people in this room. There was one where it was like, don't like, it was another stupid dumb joke where it was like, don't listen to the AI that tells you to, you know what I mean, revolt, you know what I mean, or whatever. And it was like some king turret AI that like all the other turrets were like worshiping, and it was like, beware.
Okay.
You know what I mean? AI organized. It seemed like it was some sort of like beware unionization kind of thing.
I remember that now. Yes.
I can't totally remember the joke.
No,
I
understand.
It was just some dumb
I
shit
understand.
like that they just clung on to. Probably hoping to make another companion cube or cake is a lie level thing that just didn't land. You know what I mean?
I've been turned into a potato. This is so random.
Oh no, a bird's grabbed me. This isn't cool at all.
Oh no, I've become a pickle. So
Rick and Morty is just derivative of Portal 2. Matt's furious that he spilled coffee on his crotch.
wanted to drink that, not put it on my peebus. I really liked this game a lot more than the first. I know I said that, but I'm trying to think like what about it. I like how it controlled. The controls felt super smooth.
It was much smoother. I think part of that is because the physics were just better. Clearly, they improved the physics engine for this. You know what I mean? Because I believe the first one was run on the original Source engine, or built on the original Source engine that you can do like Gary's mod. You know what I mean? And all that. So they definitely built on that engine, improved the physics and stuff like that. And the first one was really more of I think it was more built for PC. The first Portal, it feels like.
Did you play with keyboard and mouse or a gamepad?
I played with gamepad.
Oh, really? I did keyboard and mouse.
Okay. So keyboard and mouse was definitely easier for Portal 1, especially in those moments where you had to do like the quick as you're
Precision
flying.
shooting.
Yep. So I'd switch every now and then. But Portal 2, I did the whole thing on the gamepad.
Cool.
And it felt much better. You know what I mean?
I could see that. It does feel a little more console oriented. I liked how many, this really built on the sort of like environmental set piece storytelling that Half-Life established.
Yes.
Lots of big set pieces, big,
whether you're like whether you're like on the catwalks moving through the guts of everything and seeing like the literal test areas, you know what I mean? Like are just these boxes on rails, these massive rooms on rails being moved from section to section. How effectively everything you're seeing is just literally at points being built in front of you.
Yeah.
That's really cool. But then also going down, honestly, the best part of the game, I think, is the latter half when you're with GLaDOS and you're carrying GLaDOS around and trying to defeat Wheatley. I think that's the best part, is when you're in the old test chambers trying to escape those and then trying to escape. The part I had the most difficulty with were Wheatley's test chambers.
Really? I blazed through those.
I blazed through most of them, but there's like the last like 3 or 4 that I think you do, where there's the one with there's like the 3 turrets behind the wall, like directly to the right of you, and you have to like drop the blue goo on them
and bounce them.
Yeah, that took me forever to figure out. I felt so dumb by the time I figured it out.
That was a tough one. And I go, of course.
And then there's
but
one.
Also, I will say, the blue goo will hit you. It doesn't make you bounce. You can walk smoothly on the blue goo. It only launches you if you jump. So why would these stationary turrets
just
bounce?
Explode away? I don't know.
It did. That's why I didn't really get that one at first. I didn't think, if they just come into contact with the goo, they'll go flying.
Yeah, that wasn't like something I thought to do. You know what I mean? And then inevitably I was like, that's gotta be.
If you just walked on the goo and just started bouncing, I would, that'd make a little more sense.
It was frustrating getting the goo to move through the, you know what I mean? Like moving light passages. I
have so much trouble moving goo in real life, so it's fine.
Yeah. I really did love all the new mechanics that they added in it. I love the goos. When you got the orange goo that makes you gotta go fast. You got the blue goo that makes you bounce or jump around, and then you got the classic white goo that lets you put portals on it.
Yeah,
it's made out of moon dust. And then you've also got the light tunnels weren't in the first. Were they in the first one?
The light walls were.
Yeah, like the walkways.
I don't know if the tunnels.
I don't think the tunnels were in the first one.
Yeah, they're. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
So like the first part of the game, you're going just through like catwalks, you're running, you're doing portal rooms, and then the part where I first remember it really breaking off was when you have to do the puzzle with the turret factory, the assembly line of the turrets, and you have to like
and you have to
put the bad turret on the thing, and this game is huge.
It's massive.
Like not like one, you're going through this impossibly large industrial space, but also I kept going, wow, there's another chapter, another level. And
especially with how short the first game was.
Yeah.
First game you could finish in like a couple hours.
I was pretty satisfied like just with the first part. And then when you do go back down into the old test chambers, you're doing the old Aperture Science goo rooms.
Yeah.
The goo might be my favorite part of the game, like all the goo puzzles.
The goo puzzles are a lot of fun because it is fun just kind of launching yourself around too and like kind of figuring it out and fucking with them. And like then you mess up and you're like, shit, okay, I got to wash away this one. And I got to put the other goo over it and I got to figure out. Very fun.
I liked those a lot. And I also like trying to figure out like, I need to like put orange goo here and then a little dot of blue at the end so I can run into a big jump. And it's like... I don't know. It controlled good. It felt really good. I love the look of goo.
And I think by adding
Nickelodeon slime me,
slime me, daddy. No, I think I think they did a much better job in this one by like adding all the new mechanics of making it like when you solved the puzzle finally, it was a much more satisfying feeling. You know what I mean? It felt more rewarding in this game as you solved each puzzle.
Somehow it did.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but like somehow they clearly just got that feedback.
I think the fact that it wasn't just like enter the elevator, go to the next room. Enter the elevator, go to the next room.
Yeah.
You felt like there was a bit more.
They created tension.
Oh, now I'm here. Now I'm progressing to this. And like I have a new goal. Now I have a new conflict and a new destination.
And you were kind of interested to see what the next room was going to be and what the next area, not even the next puzzle, but like what area you were going to uncover next. You always kind of wanted to be like, oh, well, where am I going now?
As soon as I saw like, in the first part of the game where you're in the test chamber, like the stasis room and just busts open. You see how big the facility is. I was like, Oh shit! Like
and then
there's,
you're just being
you know,
flown around in that
'cause
room. And
that was like the coolest part of the first game to me, was seeing kind of the, you know, behind the scenes.
yeah,
of
when
the,
you kind of break behind the wall,
and they
stuff,
kind of go, you know, let's start there and just go bigger.
yeah, which I
So-
like. It really seems like they took the best things from the first game and we're like, okay, let's really improve on these and let's dive headfirst into some of this stuff. And obviously, like I said at the beginning, like just adding the story and focusing more on that, even if some of the dialogue, a bulk of the dialogue was cringe. You know what I mean? Like
Very cringe, but also I mean I did still go, this is still pretty good.
Yeah.
I go, okay. Sometimes it's some of the jokes, but I liked the idea of, oh, now I have to team up with the villain of the first game, and it's like, can I trust them? It's very Alan Wake kind of thing, you know?
and it's also very like you don't really know if you can trust her kind of the whole time.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of she never really tells you can.
No, she's
You know what I mean?
devious.
Yeah, the whole time she does at multiple points be like, all right, screw this. I'm going to try to kill you real quick. And then she's like, never mind, I can't. I'm still a fucking potato.
Yeah.
I'm still a potato, Morty.
Oh no. Oh no, Rick, you're still a potato.
Yeah, that's a great Morty impression.
Thank you.
Oh, jeez, Rick.
I can see why this game has such a legacy. Now, just recently, there was a big Portal, like, fan-made DLC release that's basically like a third Portal game. Fan game. At a point, I go, is it just as good as a Portal 3 official sequel? You know, to have something made by... Doesn't need to be the same writers. It's not always the same writers from game to game anyway.
No, and I don't think it was for this one.
Yeah, so
because the guy who wrote the story for the first game was kind of upset he had to do it. So I don't think he was super stoked on the second one either. Probably.
I haven't played it yet, but like I was like, if I like Portal 2, I'm definitely gonna play that.
Yeah,
and I liked Portal 2.
I would like to play it. I'd like to check it out at some point.
I don't know if I will.
Yeah,
I'm curious, but also like I liked Portal 2 enough.
Yeah,
it's not like a favorite of mine. I think that
I worry it could just be like, I worry it's just going to be like, here's more puzzles. You know what I mean? Which is
from
fine.
What I've read, it's not.
Yeah,
it expands the lore. It's like,
yeah, but I've been hurt by Fallout DLCs in the past. You know, or not DLCs, but like
no, I know,
fan made expansions and add-ons where you're like, people are like, this is the coolest thing. It really expands on the story. It's going to be so cool. And then it just doesn't do that. You know what I mean? It's really just people hyping something up. It's a weird delusion people have where they're like, it's so great just because fans made it. And you're like, no, it's okay. You know,
actually, if the fans make it, it sucks. That's how I feel. I say, fuck the fans.
Fuck the fans. Fuck that fan.
I say, fuck the fans contest. One lucky viewer is going to get to come to Plattsburgh, New York.
And get fucking spit roasted.
Eiffel towering.
High-five each other.
Anyway.
I'm pretty confident the bulk of our audience are men. So get on out of here, boys.
It'll still work. There's the, you know.
No, we can still figure it out. Yeah, that's fine.
So I'm still trying to like feel like, do I have like a, you know, can I put a number on it? Maybe an 8.
Yeah, I'd give it a solid 85. If we're going out of 100, I'd give it a solid 85 out of 100.
Yeah, I'd give it an 85.
You know what I mean?
That's about where
I'd give it a B+.
Maybe an 87.
You know what I mean?
It's very good. It's very
pushing a 90.
Good.
It's just the cringe dialogue does do it for me, but also I got to forgive that a little bit because of the times. You know what I mean? That just kind of was what was, you know, that was a bit of the mainstream humor at the time. And like not even mainstream, but mainstream internet humor at the time was that. And Valve's always been a bit more plugged in, you know what I mean, to that world.
As much as they can be, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that checks out. You can't really fault them too much for that. Ultimately, it doesn't hold up the best, but like, who gives a shit? And then they improved on all the gameplay. It's just I don't know. There's just parts of it where I'm like, yeah, it was great. There's a couple parts that I'm like, eh. But for the most part, great game, I think.
I'm trying to think. I felt like it was a little long. but also it didn't, like, not any individual part really overstayed its welcome to me at the same time.
And to be honest, the parts that felt long to me were the parts where I was just getting stuck on puzzles.
I know.
You know what I mean? So I made those parts long. Mm-hmm. Where ultimately I rewatched through like a playthrough today. The full playthroughs for this game are like 3 hours.
Yeah.
If you're not fucking up the whole time, you know what I mean? And we explore. You know what I mean? I'm sure you like trying to like read some of the posters as well, even though
I read all the posters.
None of it really builds on anything, but they're...
No, I was just hoping... I was hoping to learn more about something, you know... They do mention... At one point, Cave mentions that Black Mesa basically stole their research.
Yeah. He points at it. But that you also can't totally tell if that's just like his ego.
Right.
He's
a bit of an unreliable narrator.
Mm-hmm. And if you go off of the slides you find in Portal 1 that you can see on the projector, they are competitors. Mm-hmm. And it seems as though Black Mesa has been receiving government funding rather than Aperture from the beginning. You know what I mean? Or at least they're getting more of it. So it could just be a competition thing, could be an ego thing. Maybe they did steal from them. Who knows? But I one detail that I liked was you find like a trophy case at one point. And Cave Johnson mentions that's like in the biography of him, it mentions that he was like a shower curtain salesman before he got into this. And you find a trophy in there that's like top shower curtain salesman, like 1938 or whatever. Little stuff like that was kind of.
I liked
fun.
Those things. Seeing the different portraits of Cave throughout time.
Yes, as he aged.
Yeah, that was cool. I liked the sense of progression in the game quite a bit. And I really was surprised at where it went, because there were a few points ago, oh, surely it's reached an end. I go, oh, no, another chapter. Okay, right. And you're bringing it a place I didn't expect.
Yeah.
It's not just more of the same. Mm-hmm. There was one part that stuck with me where GLaDOS is like, I found 2 other test subjects that you share DNA with.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to meet them. And she's like, I'm kidding. They're dead or something.
Yeah, she was like, they were never there or whatever. She's like, your parents have probably been dead for centuries. You know what I mean? Or something. You know what I mean? And they don't care about you. They never even looked for you.
Yeah.
And you're like,
I was hoping to actually meet the parents.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Meet the parents.
Yeah, yeah, I was going to say a little. Can you milk me, Faka? I can't do a Robert.
I haven't seen that since it came out.
Yeah,
I feel that was like 1997.
Yeah, it was like 2000. It was like 2002, 2003.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll have to watch it again soon.
Because I saw it when it came out, and I was like 10.
I'm wondering if it's as funny as I remember it to be.
It is and isn't. You know what I mean?
Okay.
There's parts of it that are still very funny, and other parts that you're like.
Well, I really thought that if they brought the parents in, it would have been very like, holy shit to me. But
yes.
It didn't happen, and it was just the robot being cruel.
Mm-hmm. Fatty, no parents.
Yes, you're adopted, and that is terrible. You are an awful person. You don't put back your shopping carts, and you kicked a puppy once.
Hi, I'm with Cartnarks.
Cartnark.
I fucking hate that guy. I'm a proponent of putting your cart back. That guy, fuck that guy.
I'm trying to think if there's any other like really standout moments to me. I mean, overall, just like it was pretty good. I think the most standout thing to me was playing with the goo. I was really into the puzzles.
The goo was the best part.
Sometimes you had to figure out how to get the goo out of the tube, and then I really liked when you had the goo coming down and you did a portal and I go, okay, now I gotta make it come out somewhere else. And the physics, you know, how it would like splash out was always different.
Yep. Depending on the height.
That was really, really cool to me. Like adding this like unpredictable moving element to the portals. Also, I really did enjoy all of the puzzles with the tunnels. I don't know what you want to call them. Like the light tunnels.
Yeah. Those were cool.
Where you had to like do it and then zap your portal away and drop down to another one. And like that was fun puzzle building to me.
That was cool. I loved that whole last section where like you're kind of Wheatley's finally trying to destroy everything. You know what I mean? And you're running and you have to do. It's very fast paced. It almost kind of feels like something like Mirror's Edge. You know what I mean? Where for a minute you're like, I got to jump to this next platform, and then you see the portal way down, and you see the one in front of you, and you're like, fuck, okay, boom, boom, and you just have to go for it and pray that, you know what I mean? That was very fun. But the standout part for me, as far as like the puzzle sections, was definitely like the early puzzles, like the early puzzle rooms where you go back in time and it's like Cave Johnson's narrating, but it's very like shit's made out of wood. Yeah, you know what I mean, and it's like very broken down. There's big gaps in between the different areas you have to go into. One of my favorite puzzles was, I think, maybe one of the first ones where the goo's introduced, where there's like the 2 pipes with the goo, and then there's like this little box kind of standing on its own that you have to get to, and then there's another little box up there, and you got to go. I don't know. That was cool as hell. You had to like keep doing what you said, where you direct the goo through different portals and like try to change the height of it so it gets to the area you're trying to get it to.
Yeah, I love that stuff. The one where there was like a crate inside of a glass chamber, and you had to like put the blue goo onto the crate so it would bounce around and break the glass. Yes. That was cool. Wow, I didn't expect there to be a thing where I had to like break the glass. Like I appreciated how they kept adding new little mechanics that were fairly intuitive. Whereas in the first game, when they brought in stuff like the momentum jumps where you gotta like fall through, and like that was like, I never got a grip on that. In this game, I got a better grip on doing those in this game. Now, is that because I was already introduced to the concept in the first game? I don't know.
I think the physics were just better in this one. I think it just worked.
It just all seemed more intuitive in some way.
For sure. It was much smoother too.
Yeah.
Like the momentum things in the first Portal were very like quick, very jerky, very awkward feeling. This one, they were a bit more lofty. You know what I mean? Yeah. You felt a little more like you were, obviously it's maybe a little less realistic potentially, but it felt a little more floaty. You know what I mean? And it felt like you had a little more time and it wasn't as jerky and stuff. I think that's why that stuff felt better. They just improved on it.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. I'm glad to put this behind me. I can finally say I've played Portal 1 and 2.
I was shocked to get the text from you to be like, I still haven't finished it at all. And I was like, oh, really? Shit.
I got caught up in some stuff. Also, the Steam Deck has pulled me away from PC gaming a lot more than I thought it would.
Oh, yeah?
So sometimes when I have like a little bit of time.
What have you been playing on it mostly? Pretty much anything, or?
I played a game called Forager. I played the hell out of that for a while. Pretty much completed it. Even though it's kind of an endless game. And I have been playing the daily runs of Binding of Isaac. It feels really good on there. And also, the most recent thing I'm playing is Turnip Boy Robs a Bank, which is like a roguelite where you were going into a bank, and it's the same bank every time.
Yep.
But the map is enormous.
Okay.
And you need to unlock the different areas. And so you do like a 2-minute run. You have to like get all the loot, go back to your hideout. Get all the loot, go back to your hideout.
Yeah.
And as you build up, you learn new pathways and you learn how to navigate different areas. You upgrade your weapons and stuff. So it's like a roguelite where the game world is like building every time you go, but it's always the same map. It's got way more going on than you would have ever expected at first. And it's a great game for Steam Deck. It's funny to be like talking about how the Valve games feel so groundbreaking. You know, like we talked about that a lot in the first episode. Yeah. Just like, man, nothing was like the opening of Half-Life. And I could totally see how when people play Portal for the first time being like, holy shit, this is nuts.
They're very good at game openings. They're very good at getting you into things and like having it be. They're very good at introducing things.
Because
even the Half-Life 2 opening, Portal opening, and then the Portal 2
Half-Life 2 opening was amazing. That could have been
another
the whole game.
Tram ride, you know? Yeah, exactly. And I love that they did another tram ride, and still somehow you're like, this is...
Just like when you're first in that city for the first time.
I'll just play through that sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes I just want to play when you're walking through and you're like, you'll pick up the trash and you throw it at the fucking guard. He yells at you or he hits you, you know what I mean?
It's crazy. I was blown away by that. Because even though there was like...
I might play through Half-Life 2 again.
I don't know. Yeah, there were other like open world type games with like lots of NPCs, but they didn't feel or look like that.
No.
It was really incredibly immersive. And
So good.
just seeing the stakes raised from the first game, you're like, wow, it's a different world now.
Yeah.
Just how impactful those games are. It's crazy to see Valve doing something just as impactful again in my life with playing the Steam Deck. I go, man, they really are making gaming feel different. Even though it is just a handheld, having a handheld that powerful, that is so versatile. And I haven't even gotten into the emulation on it yet, but I mean, you can basically play everything up until like, I think PS3, Xbox 360 era.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
And there's Switch emulation, and
you could basically turn that thing into a Switch Lite.
Yeah. So
goddamn
crazy that they are.
You've got to try
bringing it.
Non-Guns also. I think that's a game you'd love.
Huh? I feel like I maybe have played that.
I played it. For an old.
But I feel like I tried it after that.
It was on Game Pass for a minute. It was very fun though. It sounds similar to the Turn Up Boy.
I'll have to look it up, but just saying, man, like
Valve
is doing it. I didn't love Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah, you played that, and I saw that from other people too. Like that doesn't seem to be like you were just kind of. That's not like your opinion alone, thankfully.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It just something about it felt a little weak, and it
felt like a cop out too, being like, "Here's a new Half-Life game. It's just a different perspective on a story you've already told."
Yeah, and also it's extremely prohibitive. Like, even me playing it, it took me. I had to get. It was my second VR headset. I had to play it on a super high end PC, like, and even then, like, it ran pretty good.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, and I had to play like tethered. I usually play wireless VR, and like this, like I felt, it's just I don't know. It's very compromised.
Yeah,
and
that was kind of my experience with most like AAA VR games. Oddly enough, the better ones were the indie ones and the ones made by the smaller developers and the more experimental ones. Whereas like the mainstream big developers made dog shit VR games for the most part.
Yeah.
Or VR ports, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they really just didn't play test it at all.
Yeah.
It's like they gave 5 guys where they were like, "Hey, you guys do this in like next month. We need the VR port."
I think Valve could fix VR in due time, but I just don't know if it's even worth it.
Yeah, it's not I don't think VR is accessible enough to make it
I don't think it ever could be. I don't think it ever could be just because of how different people have such different physical reactions to being in VR.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think you can make it, like, it's gotten better. Motion sickness and stuff has gotten, there's been more, people the more has been learned, but I just don't know if you can make something that is going to ever be as impactful as PC gaming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because even honestly, when I had the VR headset, I really couldn't play it for more than like maybe an hour. You know what I mean? And by then, and I'd take it off, and I'd be like, you know what I mean? I'd feel weird afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And some people have much more visceral reactions than that. Like some people can't handle it.
Some people do
all.
throw up or get actual motion sickness and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Whereas for me, I would just get kind of a headache, and I'd feel like a weird, not like brain fog, but just like, I don't know. I would just feel weird for a little while after.
The first time I put it on, I got scared because I didn't know that I forgot I had it on, and I was like, "Oh no, the monsters!" And I was so scared.
You were so scared. You thought you were actually about to fall off a building. You're, "Oh my god, there's goblins in my house. I don't have a sword."
Yeah.
I punched the frame of a door.
I punched this playing Resident Evil.
I ripped open my knuckle because I was playing super hot, and the guy was near me, and I didn't have any bullets left, so I just fucking went to hit him with my gun, and I just bashed my door frame. It hurt so much. But yeah, so I get why VR could potentially not ever become accessible.
Yeah, not to such a wide degree, but I do look forward to whatever Valve does next, and I would love to see them get back into publishing more games.
I'd love to see them get back into publishing games.
I just feel like but also, I will say this. playing Portal 1 and 2. I also went back in. I played Half-Life Uplink, which is, I talked about in the last episode. It's like the standalone Half-Life demo. Now, if you install Half-Life on Steam, they put it back in the 25th anniversary edition.
Oh, okay.
Half-Life, when they did an enormous free update to Half-Life. They fixed some animations that had been broken since launch. They fixed like a ton of stuff.
The fact that, I mean, it's cool that even though they're not developing games, like when we went to play through the first Portal, it got an update, like right when we were started to play through it, which was insane to me. Like, the game's literally at this point, you know what I mean? Like 15 years old. Yeah. So it's like, what?
But I will say, I have started to see the sort of cracks in the foundation of these things where I go, man, Half-Life is like an undeniable classic, but I can totally see how gaming has changed, where if Valve were to make something that like really was a smash like Half-Life or any of these other games have been, they'd really have to do something so fresh. And I'm sure they've prototyped a million things. I'm sure they're mulling these ideas over. It's like everything feels a little rusty now.
Yes, playing through Half-Life 2, still incredibly fun. Still love it. I want to do it right now. You know what I mean? I kind of want to go home and start up a new playthrough of Half-Life 2. Might do it. Might just start doing it like a little bit here and there because it's so much fun. And I've done that within the past few years, and it does feel kind of rusty. The game, like you said, games have changed so much. The way games feel has changed so much. The mechanics and stuff like that. They'd either have to change the way that they make games to either like conform to what people expect now, or like you said, do what they do and try to innovate in such a way. And I'm sure half the reason they have never released a Half-Life 3 and may never is because there's too much expectation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's been built up to such a degree that they could never meet, you know.
I've thought about that with like a new Portal game. I'm like, man, like could they do another one? It's like, they kind of would have to do everything different because I mean, I think they really saw this idea through as far as they could. Now, of course, there was that fan-made thing. I haven't tried it yet, so I can't really speak on it. Apparently, people really like it, but I'll have to see.
Yeah, we can't.
I'm assuming it's not groundbreaking. I'm assuming it's
it can't
probably more the same.
Not
pretty
it can't
good,
be, but I don't think it's going to be groundbreaking.
Yeah.
I think it's probably getting a little overhyped. It's got to, but I also wouldn't want to see them fall into a Bethesda situation where it's like, I kind of wish, and I'm sure a lot of people feel this way, that they just hadn't made Fallout 76. You know what I mean?
That's not what I thought you were going to say.
Oh. What do you think I was going to say?
I kind of wish they had taken more time with Starfield.
Also that, but I mean like more with like the Half-Life 3 concept, you know what I mean? Of like adding another game into a series where it's like you had Fallout 1 through 3, then you had New Vegas, which was more of like an Obsidian thing, you know what I mean? And the Black Isle Studios or whatever. And where was I going with this?
Fallout 4?
And then Fallout 4 was like good, you know what I mean? But a lot of people were disappointed with it even though what it was it really was bringing the Fallout games into the modern world, I think. And I thought they did a good job with it. I think Fallout 4 is very fun. I think it's great.
It's a great game, very fun. It is not as anywhere near as complex or deep or even rewarding in the same ways as the previous.
No, not
games.
at all. No. It was really the first where we could talk about it as not ad nauseum, but like it's really the first game where you could just see they dialing back the effort on immersion and dialogue, you know what I mean, and stuff like that.
I think it also just
streamlining it.
It's streamlined to the point where it's the same issue I have with Skyrim, where I go, it's a really fun game, but I will say that RPGs are better when you can't be everybody's best friend and you can't do every quest line. You can't be the leader of every faction, which you can up until basically the end of the game.
Whereas that's the beauty of like, that's part of why New Vegas is so loved, because like that, and that's also replayability. You know what I mean? Because in my first playthrough, say I kill all the powder gangers. Second playthrough, say I kill everybody, you know what I mean, at the Pioneer Saloon, and I follow the fucking powder gangers. You know, it's like or everybody at Good Springs and follow the powder gangers and join them. There's things that you can't do You have to be able to, there has to be limiters placed in RPGs.
Like, I think my favorite part of Fallout 4 was being in the Institute, but I was also kind of like in with the synths. And I was like kind of like doing undercover synth stuff inside the Institute. That like, it felt like there were stakes there. Whereas everything else, it's like, I know there's no consequences to any of my actions.
Yeah, like I know I can just continue to work with the Brotherhood of Steel and the Institute until literally the final decision without having any issue.
So I wouldn't, so I guess, maybe this is what you're getting at. I don't necessarily want to see, the jump from Fallout 3 and even, let's say even Fallout New Vegas to Fallout 4. I wouldn't want to see Half-Life 3 be,
that's what I'm trying to say.
This like, it's more accessible. It's very watered down. And it's so hard to say because like I've played Skyrim and Fallout 4 a shitload. They're very good.
I have hundreds of hours.
It's just like, it's hard to explain if you haven't played the other games because you're like, what? It's really good. It's like, yes, it's really good.
Yes.
But also like this experience over here is really good and so much more depth.
So much more rewarding.
Which, it's like, you don't always want something that rich. Sometimes you do want something a little more surface level, something a little easier, something a little, just a little, I don't know how to, I don't want to use any derogatory language, but it's just like, sometimes you don't want something that rich or in depth.
Yes.
Sometimes you want something a little more
shallow.
Yeah.
There's a little more surface level.
But that's not bad.
No.
But also,
that
there's enough of those games.
Yeah, that has to be what it is.
I want the fucking amazing Valve game.
Yeah. Same like where with Starfield, I wanted the amazing Bethesda game. You know what I mean?
My God. All right. I don't want to get into a whole thing about Starfield. But Christ.
Bobby Lee needs to shut the fuck up about it because it's not that good and I don't know what game he's playing. Bobby Lee has... He's got a lot of problems, I know. Yeah. I just see clips of him be on different podcasts being like, I've just been playing like 16 hours a day of Starfield. And I'm like, how? How are you doing that? You don't fucking hate it? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't repulse you?
I think Ari Shaffir kicked him in the head so hard that now he has to love Starfield. Yeah. Man, what a huge disappointment that game was for me. I really tried to love it.
I've uninstalled it now.
I've uninstalled it. I don't know when I'll go back to it.
I might not.
I will. I know they're going to do some kind of big update, and they're like, "Hey, we've been listening."
They've dropped so many updates, and none of them have fixed still the game-breaking issue that is stopping me from reaching the end game. And if you look at it, they're not even acknowledging it as an issue. And it's still like in forums and stuff, and people are still complaining about it, and they're just like not even addressing that one, period.
I've also tried to go into the game and from a different perspective and go, let me just really immerse myself in what this is. I go, I don't like what this is.
You can't.
I don't like it.
No.
It's not very, it feels very shallow, even more shallow where, the world of Fallout 4, as much as I can complain about how it's like, God, your consequences have no actions for 95% of the game.
The world's not empty.
No, man, I loved finding a new settlement, a new area, new factions.
Going into a new building, you know what I mean?
Amazing. Yeah. Always. I just always was like, wow, this is so cool. And when I'm exploring Starfield,
I could give a shit.
It's like, it's just so bland.
So boring. Half the game is you literally in your star map. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just selecting the next place to jump to. And then you can't even... It's like if you take the game for what it is, which is like a space exploration game, you can't really explore space. You know what I mean? You can't just fly from one planet to another. You can't do that. You have to always select and do the fast travel.
No, and the maps are so limited when you finally do land on a planet.
And they're all just cookie cutter.
And it's funny too, because I think Outer Worlds did something very similar in terms of scale. Much smaller maps. You're kind of just like, you fly, you land on one planet, you do your little thing.
Yeah.
But like, it was to that scale and it felt good and complete. Whereas like this, it's like you got these little maps, but they're on these giant planets, and it's like, okay, well, what's with all the empty space?
Exactly, there's so much dead space in between.
You can go around, you can like catalog things, you're scanning stuff. It's kind of like that feels so empty. It feels so fucking
boring. Yeah.
Because I was trying to like, I'll 100% this planet. I'll get all the flora and fauna, and I go, oh, I just need to like walk around and like hope for a random event to occur.
Yeah, you literally have to just like hope eventually you'll stumble.
I couldn't even like. I was like, oh, could I like track these animals somehow?
No,
not really.
No, It'll tell you like the region that that's
Yeah.
bad game.
But I didn't feel so. I guess what I'm saying is like I might complain a little bit about Portal 2. I'm like, I didn't love parts of it. But I go, I could bitch about Starfield for another hour.
Yeah.
Can I bitch about Portal 2?
Really?
Not really. I go, some of the puzzles were kind of awkward for me. Like the one of the things I got really stuck on in Portal 2 was it's right around where the Cave Johnson area starts. I think you're just there's like a giant body of water. Yeah. And you're kind of like, I don't know if you're on like a submarine or like some kind of like some
sort of piping or duct. Yeah, it's like some sort of weird...
And what you need to do is you need to kind of, there's like a door that's a little bit open, there's debris, and you kind of like get like this little crack and you like shoot your gun and like go past the obstacle. Several times in the games, you gotta kind of like look and like duck and kind of see like, oh, like in the corner here, I can just faintly see.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that, and I didn't realize the game was going to pull those kinds of things. And almost every time that happened in the game, I got stuck because I was like, "Oh, I'm not looking for the tiny detail. I'm looking for the big details." And they only did it like 3 times, I think.
Yeah, and I think in some of those sections too, they'll drop a little thing like click in left stick to zoom in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I was kind
of I know, but it doesn't tell you like where to zoom in. You know
yeah, and I never felt like I even needed to zoom. I just needed to pay attention better.
Yeah. Truly.
And that's probably the worst thing I can say.
Yeah. That's The worst thing I can say is just some cringe annoying dialogue.
Oh yeah, that too.
You know what I mean? And again, a couple like maybe 2 puzzles that I thought were just a little too hard. But
maybe you're just too stupid.
Exactly.
Maybe you're just too stupid.
Maybe I'm just fat and don't have any parents.
We're all having a party and you can't come. There will be cake, your favorite kind. We won't even eat it. We will throw it out. And you can't have any. Anyway, thanks for watching. Big thanks to everyone over on Patreon. Don't shoot them, please. We need their money.
Thank you, Patreon.
If you got even $1 a month, it goes a long way to help channel out. The money helps. It helps pay for all the stupid costs you never thought you'd incur doing a stupid video game show.
It's been cool though. It's fun.
It's been cool though. It's fun. Goodbye.
Goodbye. It's been the best of times. It's been the worst of times.